The method of solving I'm going to show you right now is always used when an equation has only one x. There's no special techniques, no fancy manipulation that goes on. It's just order of operations to eliminate numbers that are in the way of x. So, for example, if we have a 2x squared equals 50, the equation only has one x, so we're just going to get rid of all the numbers around that x using reverse order of operations. So I say reverse because it's whatever is happening last to x that you want to get rid of first. So for example, the first thing that's happening to x is it's being squared. We know that by order of operations. And then after it's squared, it's being multiplied by 2. So if I want to isolate x, I need to get rid of the last thing first and then go backwards from there. So to get x by itself, the first thing I'm going to get rid of is the 2 in front. So I'm first going to divide by 2, which will leave us x squared equals 25. And now the only thing to get rid of is the square. So we undo squaring by square rooting. And a commonly missed thing is whenever you square root something, it always produces two numbers, because there's two things that when multiplied by itself produce 25. So 5 times 5 is 25, but negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. So once you write the square root, you have to put the positive and the negative root immediately afterwards. So x equals 5 and x equals negative 5 for this equation. Okay, let's look at another example. Let's say we have x minus 1 squared equals 8. So thinking about order of operations real quickly, the first thing that happens to x is minus 1. So that's the first operation. And the second thing after the minus 1 is it's being squared. So when we're undoing this equation, the first thing we get rid of is that square. Again, you start with the last thing and then backwards from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is square root both sides. And so now we have x minus 1 equals radical 8 and x minus 1 equals negative radical 8. All right, you put the positive and negative immediately after you take the square root. And we can actually simplify it as just putting positive and negative radical 8 instead of writing it again. So we can kind of cross that out. Okay, now the last step is to get rid of the 1. So plus 1 plus 1. So x equals 1 plus and minus radical 8. It's standard form to put integers before radicals. And remember that integers and radicals can't combine. So this is not 9 here. Right? It's not radical 9 or 9. Radicals and integers stay separate. The last thing you want to do, though, is double check to see if this radical can reduce. And it can. Radical 8 is 2 root 2. So x is equal to 1 plus and minus 2 root 2. Okay, let's look at just one more example that has a few more numbers around it. Let's say we have a 3 times x plus 4 squared plus 18 equals 6. All right, order of operations currently. The first thing happening to x is plus 4. After adding 4, it's being squared. Then it's being multiplied by the 3. And the fourth thing is we're adding 18 to it. So we're going to get rid of those numbers in the reverse order. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the 18, because that was the last thing. Okay, then the next to last thing was the times 3. So we'll divide by 3. So we have x plus 4 squared equals negative 4. Then we have the square to get rid of. So square root both sides. So x plus 4 equals positive and negative. Okay, I'm going to put that immediately. And then radical 4, again, the negative turns into the I. And the radical 4, well, the square root of 4 is just 2. And I'm going to rewrite that as 2i the next step. So our final manipulation is the minus 4 minus 4. So x equals negative 4 plus and minus 2i. So again, we have a real number and imaginary. The -4 and the 2 cannot combine because they are not like terms. We have imaginary term and real term. So pause and try this one. All right, your answer should be x equals 0 and x equals -4. Now, you may have gotten to the point where you actually had x equals -2 plus or minus 2. So keep in mind that -2 and 2 we can actually combine. So this is two separate things here. This is -2 plus 2, which is 0, and it's -2 minus 2, which is the -4. So make sure that if you come across terms that can be combined, that you actually do combine them like so.